Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a really simple but powerful way to tackle your most ambitious goals, all inspired by the work of Stephen Duneier. The core idea is pretty profound. Greatness isn't some kind of magical gift. Nope, it's a process. It's about building something extraordinary, one tiny, manageable piece at a time. So, let's dive in and see how this actually works.
All right, so to kick things off, let's challenge a really common belief most of us have about talent. We're going to do a quick thought experiment. Okay, take a good look at this picture. Be honest with yourself. Could you draw this, like with just a pencil and paper? For most of us, that's going to be a hard no, right? It just looks way too complicated, like something only a professional artist could pull off.
Okay, fine. How about this instead? Could you draw this simple gray square? Of course you could. I mean, pretty much anybody can do that. It's easy.
And this is where the magic happens. See, if you can draw one of those little gray squares, then you can draw two of them, or 10, or 100. And if you think about it, there's no logical reason you couldn't draw every single gray square needed to create that entire super complex portrait of Brad Pitt. The whole thing is just a collection of really simple parts.
And that right there is the core philosophy from Stephen Duneier. The thing that's really stopping us from reaching our biggest dreams isn't that we lack some special talent. It's all about our approach. It's about how we look at the problem in the first place.
Next up, let's see how this idea of breaking things down plays out in the world of elite performance. You're about to see how tiny, almost unnoticeable improvements can lead to absolutely world-class results.
So let's talk about the tennis superstar Novak Djokovic. His career is just a perfect example. It shows the incredible power of what Duneier calls improving your decision success rate, which is just a fancy way of saying you make slightly better small choices over and over and over again.
So get this. At one point, when Novak Djokovic was winning only 49% of the points he played in a match, his world ranking was 680th. I mean, he was barely even a blip on the professional tennis radar.
But here's where it gets crazy. By improving just enough to win 52% of his points, we're talking a tiny 3% increase, he skyrocketed to number 3 in the entire world and started earning millions of dollars. That's a tiny marginal gain with a massive life-changing impact.
And then when he pushed that success rate up to 55%, just another 3% jump, he became the undisputed #1 ranked player on the planet. He completely dominated the sport for years.
So what's the big takeaway here? This wasn't about some superhuman leap in his athletic ability. It was all about making small, consistent improvements in the thousands of tiny decisions he made during every single point. And that kind of marginal gain, that's something that's achievable for any of us, no matter what field we're in.
Now, this isn't just some abstract theory. Duneier actually used this exact same principle in his own life to tackle a lifelong struggle with focus that pretty much plagued him all through school and into his career.
You know, this was the comment on basically every single one of his report cards, from kindergarten all the way through high school. And it was true. He was a solid C- student because he just could not sit still and focus for more than 5 or 10 minutes at a time. So, heading into his junior year of college, he decided to make a marginal adjustment. He realized, okay, maybe I can't change who I am, but I can change my approach. So, a huge assignment, like reading 5 chapters, became a series of tiny, manageable tasks. Read just 3 paragraphs. Then go take a break, shoot some hoops, play a game, whatever. Then come back and do another 10-minute chunk.
And the results? Well, he was a total game changer. This one simple shift in his process transformed everything. He went from being a C- student his entire life to a straight A student. He then took that exact same method, breaking down huge, complex ideas into tiny, bite-sized tasks, and applied it to the world of finance, where he eventually became a global head of trading.
Okay, so once he saw how incredibly well this worked in his career and in school, Duneier started to wonder, what about all those other ambitious goals? You know, the personal ones he'd always put on a shelf for someday.
He started applying that same method of small, marginal adjustments everywhere. He learned to speak German just by listening to tapes during his commute instead of music. His goal to read 50 books in a year wasn't about forcing himself to read whole chapters at a time. No, it was about making the tiny decision to just read 1 word. And that simple shift opened the floodgates to this huge range of incredible achievements.
So what started as a kind of funny suggestion from his wife to learn how to knit, which he didn't like at all, turned into a passion for crocheting and yarn bombing. And this quirky new hobby is what led to his most ambitious project of all.
Over the course of 2.5 years, he crocheted, get this, over 500,000 stitches. It was never about the giant, overwhelming final project. It was just about doing one stitch, and then another one, and another, and any spare moment he could find. That single giant piece he created ended up using more than 30 miles of yarn. I mean, it's a number that's almost impossible to wrap your head around, and it was all built from the smallest possible action, repeated over and over.
And there it is, the perfect illustration of this entire idea. A massive, world record-breaking achievement wasn't some singular act of genius. It was simply the sum of over 500,000 tiny, simple, repeatable actions.
So, after seeing all these extraordinary accomplishments, from getting straight A's to conquering Wall Street to setting world records, what's the one crucial thing we should all take away from this?
He is absolutely insistent that he hasn't fundamentally changed as a person. He's still that kid who can't focus. He doesn't believe he possesses any magical talent or special skill. The only thing that's different is his process. He takes these huge, intimidating goals, breaks them all the way down to their simplest form, and then just focuses on making those tiny, marginal improvements along the way.
And really, that leaves all of us with a final question to think about. The power to achieve your most ambitious goals, it doesn't come from waiting around to discover some hidden talent you never knew you had. It comes from making the decision to just start, to take that dream off the shelf and figure out the very first, very small, very simple piece you can do right now.